Okay, so now you can see the steps again. So we start with a cone, high speed. I'm going to get rid of the clay that's right against the wheel head so that I can get closer. Just right, just above the wheel head. One hand up and over the top. Relax before you come off. Okay, so what that is saying is that I should have gone a little slower. Now it's coming down in trying to bring up the wall. I was maybe pulling on the clay a little bit. So when you bring the wall up, it's called taking a pull. But if you pull on the clay, that can happen. You don't really want to pull. You just want to squeeze it. Okay, so I'm back to a cake shape. And flatten the top. So anytime you're doing one thing with one hand, you're using the other hand to support it. So instead of just staying like that, see how I'm giving some reinforcement to it? Okay. Now into the center with two thumbs. And now across the floor. So after I do this, I'm going to do it one more time, and I want you all to tell me what my next step is. Okay, I just did the floor, making sure that it's nice and flat, and that it comes all the way out to 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock position, right here. Squeeze it in. Now I'm going to start by thinning the top. And just be, you don't want to be so gentle that nothing happens. But if you squeeze too hard, it's going to tear the clay.
And you just keep wetting and wetting.
Yes, anytime you feel the least bit of drag, get a little more water. You don't let water stand in the bottom, though. You keep taking it out of the bottom. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to go back down to the bottom and squeeze it. Feeling for thick and thin. So remember when we were doing coil building, you were learning to feel for thick and thin. That's real important when you're throwing. So I'm going to go back, and where it was thicker, I'm going to just bring it up a little bit more. Now, how do you decide how quickly you can raise the wall? How do you decide that? Well, if you have more clay, obviously, yes, it's going to take longer. But how do I know, like, can I just go zipping up, or do I have to go super slow, or how do you know?
The thickness?
What's that?
How thick it is?
Keep guessing. Keep guessing. Pardon?
You always go slow.
Always go slow is a good policy, but how do you determine that speed? How fast the wheel is coming around, right? So if the wheel is that slow, how long does it take to get all the way around? All right? That's what determines your speed. Because you don't want to be ahead of the wheel. If you are, you're going to be off center.
That's always staying.
So the faster the wheel, the slower you go.
The faster the wheel is, the faster you can raise the wall. Because the wheel is coming all the way around more quickly. But it's easier to throw if your wheel is not too fast. I wouldn't go any faster than that. A lot of steps, huh?
And 4 o'clock is in reference to where your hand is
Yeah.
relative to
12
the...
o'clock, 6 o'clock, here's 4 o'clock. Yeah. If you have water standing in the bottom, scrunch up your sponge and get it out. All right, so now I'm gonna just do one more pass, and I'm gonna try and get this wall really, really even. I'm never changing my speed, but I am changing my pressure. So anytime it feels a little thicker, you just squeeze a little harder.
With both your outside and your inside.
Yeah, but your outside hand is working harder, because if your inside hand works harder, it's gonna flare out. Other questions? Ask them.
Until we try.
Yeah, right, when you try it, you're gonna go, what was she doing?
Because your pinky is in some ways pushing, if your pinky is touching the
I'm trying to keep my pinky out of it.
out of it from
Right?
touching.
That's why I've got it wrapped way in.
Because otherwise it's pushing it out.
Yeah, you know, unconscious pushing is part of the problem when people have trouble throwing.
And the base starts to look rounded. How often do you kind of carve into that?
I'm gonna carve into it right now. Also, you want to keep coming back and firming up your rim. Otherwise, you're gonna have a weak rim. All right, this is where your wooden knife comes in. You will always have some extra clay down here. We're gonna take it off. You'd think, okay, I'll just hold it and I'll just do it, right? But the clay is gonna grab it. You have to hold it back. You have an edge here. Think of your cylinder as meeting that edge. I'm going to start with the point and I'm going to work my way down, holding it very, very firmly.
Are you doing it against the whole pot or just the bottom?
I'm just trying to get the bottom. So I just cut away that extra clay.
Did you press it onto this back piece?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
So when you put this in, do you just kind of put it into the batter and let it spin, or are you
So
going down slowly?
I went down the edge of the pot. Yeah, come over where you can see. Yeah, down to the wheel head, to the back.
When you started up above.
I started up here.
Wow.
Okay, can you do that?
Yeah, so this is the edge you want to have against your pot.
And then you pull it up to the side and up when you're removing it in the end.
Just get it out of
To the
there.
side, okay.
Yeah, don't touch the pot anymore. Every touch is going to do something. Now comes the moment of truth. You're gonna check your walls.
You have to
See
cut
how? Yes.
No.
Yes. We're not saving any pots today. Yes. No. You're gonna check your walls.
You get to
and
see how much you leave at the bottom though.
You're gonna see, did you understand what was going on with your wall or not? Yeah, you're gonna see, was it even, or was it like really thin in one place and thick in another? If when you're bringing your wall up, if you hit a thin place, you can just glide over the top of it without pressing at all. If you hit a thick place, you're gonna press on it. But your speed is gonna be keyed to the speed of the wheel. So you're always coming up at the same rate.
So are you happy with the
Yeah.
thickness of the bottom
Yeah.
relative to the sides?
Yeah, bottom should be a little thicker so you can make a foot. So we're gonna throw these pots, they're gonna get leather hard, we're gonna turn them over and we'll trim a foot. So you have to have some extra clay down there,
But not now. Today we're
but
cutting
not
it.
now, but not now. And anyway, even if we were saving them, you can't trim them till they get leather hard. All right, so I'm gonna do one more and you're gonna tell me what to do.
Oh, just throw it, turn it, spin
Yeah,
it,
right?
push and pull.
Right. If you're finding air bubbles when you cut your clay, you know you didn't wedge enough, and air bubbles make it really hard to throw. Now you can leave that little bit of clay on there and just what do I do now?
Cone.
So first, just working it into a cone shape.
Somebody taking notes?
Next,
Cold?
wet it. Okay, that's good. Wet your hands too, right? You want your hands wet front and back. Yeah, if you want a video, it's fine. You know, I think taking notes is
Yeah.
good. Next,
Can you guys send the video?
Create a cone shape.
how do I do that? Just like this? Kick the wheel? Okay.
That's a great idea.
How fast?
Very fast.
Very
Very
fast. Okay. Once we get the center open, then we don't go as fast. Okay. Now, how am I supposed to sit? Knees, back straight. Yep. Gotta be sure your knees have some support. How about my elbows? Yeah, you can have them against your sides. I like this position. I'm right in my hip bone, so I can press by just leaning forward. And then this way, I'm just a little more open. I feel like I got a little more room. But people do it this way, you know, whatever's comfortable for you. Okay, now what?
Bring it up to the top.
Into a
Into a
cone,
cone.
right? So fingers firmly together. Pressing really hard. When I feel it drag, relax and come off and get some water. Both hands do exactly the same thing.
One is pressing on top.
So one hand is coming up and over. So use your fingers to reinforce each other. Really helps. And then I'm sliding one hand up and over, using the heel of my thumb. And I want to keep on until it feels pretty centered. It doesn't have to be perfect yet, but it should feel pretty good. Okay, now what?
With the base.
Pardon?
Or flatten
Yeah,
it.
that's probably a really good idea to do right now. You could wait a little while, but that's good. Okay,
Flatten it.
flatten it down. Okay, so one hand's gonna hold the side and one hand's gonna push down. But again, the fingers are giving each other a lot of help, especially as you get down low. So even down here, Pinky has to learn how to work. Your fingers are gonna get stronger. Now what? Flatten the top. So even though I'm just working on the top, I'm also holding the side because I don't want to push it off center. Next.
Thumbs.
Thumbs together down the center. Holding on the outside while you do that. How far from the bottom?
Half an inch.
About a half an inch. You can tell by feeling. Now, anytime this upper edge looks a little off, press it down, keep it nice and controlled. Next.
Make the bottom.
The floor, right? Okay, what o'clock? 4 o'clock. Okay, my right hand is outside, left hand is inside. I'm gonna use these 2 middle fingers and I'm gonna try to go really straight across out towards 4 o'clock while holding on to the outside and holding on to the rim. See how I'm holding the rim at the same time? Because anytime you're not holding things and you're moving clay, it can all go off center. Now what?
The bottom one.
Clean the bottom. Water.
Yeah, flatten the bottom. I'm gonna have to open it up just a little bit so I can get in there. Press it down so so you don't have any little humps in there.
Are you pressing down the middle and dragging it out, or just
Yes.
pressing down the middle?
I am doing both, yes. Just make sure it's really flat.
Pressing down to the-
Yeah, now's your opportunity to make the floor flat. If you don't do it now, if you leave it till later, it's gonna throw everything else off. Okay, next,
Bring it up.
start bringing it up, but before that,
The cone shape again.
cone shape again. So this is where you collar. So I'm gonna hook my thumbs over to keep the rim under control and squeeze in. Next.
Cone shape again? It's not a cone.
It's slanted inward. Yeah, and it could be a little bit more.
Thin out the top.
Yeah, so now I want to thin out the top. This is something that I just kind of learned. It's not all potters do it. A lot of them will just start at the bottom, bringing the wall up. But I have often found that if you take care of this thick area first, then when you want to bring the whole wall up, you're not encountering an area that you have to push harder on that ends up tearing your pot. So I always like to get that out of the way. So now the wall is all pretty much the same thickness. Next. Yeah, start at the bottom now. Okay, so now, and how about the way the two hands are working together? Can you see they're linked? So there's various ways you can put them together. You don't have to grab on like this, right? That limits you, it holds you back actually, because you can't move quickly. They just need to be in proximity. They need to be touching each other but able to move. Okay, I'm gonna do one more. And remember when you get to the top, you're going to compress the rim a little bit, so it's just a very light pinch on the sides and a little pressure on the top. That's gonna keep the top even. Sometimes people will find themselves continually having to cut the top off because it came up unevenly. So if you keep compressing it and straightening it out after every pull, you shouldn't have that problem. Okay, I'm gonna just do one more. So I don't know if you noticed, every once in a while I'm kicking, right? If the wheel slows down and you need it to be a little faster, get your hands off. Don't touch the clay while you're kicking, because it's very hard to hold steady when you kick. So just take your hands off, kick. You can get water while you're kicking, and then get yourself back into position. And bring up. What determines how fast you can bring your wall up?
The speed of the wheel.
Exactly. And we're not gonna try to make big cylinders today. In fact, I don't really want you to even make them this tall. If you can get a nice cylinder this high that's centered, that is success today. Okay, so small pieces of clay, and don't, big beautiful pots will come sooner if you start with small pieces. If you start with big pieces, you're just gonna have a lot of frustration. And just taking the excess water out, gonna clean up this
How much
edge.
wetness inside is considered too
So
much?
we don't want a puddle in there because that's gonna make that clay get a lot softer than everything else. Okay, so now at this point, it's possible to straighten it up because I've got the wall done. So now the inside hand can push the clay out a little bit. Okay, what next? This is where the wooden knife comes in. Remember, you're gonna be holding, your left hand is on the top of it, your right hand is on the bottom. You've gotta be real close here in order to be able to control it. Remember, the sharp side is the side that goes against your pot. We're cutting away the excess clay. And there's one other cut if we were saving this pot, which I'm not going to, but if I was going to. This is a little bevel cut down at the bottom that makes it easier to get off the wheel.
Makes it easier.
To get it off the wheel.
Would that also be part of the foot later, or
Could be.
you do that?
Mhm, could be. Sometimes people will throw mugs without any foot, and that is just, that is it, yeah. Yeah, moment of truth.
Such a waste.
So it was a little bit thicker at the bottom. That's okay. This bottom of the wall can be a little bit thicker because when you turn them over to trim, you're going to trim off some of them.
How do you get it off the?
I'll show you that next time.
Yeah, you keep cutting them again.
I don't want you to do that yet. You are going to cut everything you make today.
But I thought you